Hey, Mark, you should jump on. Oh, I forgot to. I'm sitting here waiting for people to jump on. Hello, Sampo. Mark!
I'm not sure how good my signal is outside. How you doing, Jacob?
It's good. How are you doing?
Good. Up there. I turned off my YouTube. Sorry about that. All right. Did you get feedback? Anyway. Good. I tried to live stream a response to comments for the first time. That was a total fail, but Grizz joined in, and then Risto popped in to save the stream.
I watched most of it.
It felt like a disaster, but it was good. It's good practice, and I enjoyed getting to know Rizzo. That was nice to engage Grizz. Yeah.
It was not a disaster. There were things I wanted to comment on, but I can't remember what they were. There were things I wanted to comment on, but now I'm forgetting what they were.
I'm sure it'll come at some point.
Maybe.
I'll say something stupid, and you'll want to correct me, and that will remind you.
No, it was you said something, and the thing is, I was watching at 1.5 speed, catching up, and I didn't want to comment in the text because I knew that would confuse the issue. I was gonna say, don't worry about replying to all the comments on your channel. That's just gonna be too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it became really crazy for me when I stopped reading all the messages on my Discord, because it was like, well, it's my Discord. I should be reading everything on my Discord, right? But it was just too much. And then eventually I had to stop watching everything on my channel. So I don't even watch everything on my channel.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, I feel like I'm getting a grasp of Grizz's vision of Virtually Not Alone, which makes me feel like I should be out more. Just to, like when like our so many of the channels that were active a month ago are gone kind of quiet over the summer. With Sherry's gone, so and Luke's working, and so Grail Country's gone really quiet, and that was a lot. That was an outlet for a lot of people. And now Sherry will be back, and I'm sure that'll bring Nate back, and Luke will come back around. I think he said November, but and then I think Paul's going to be gone for 3 weeks. Things are going to be. It's just the summer funk, and I think about those people who kind of depend on this interaction and feel that not alone thing, and I think that's a good insight of Grizz's. So.
Well,
Trying to do my part to help, I guess.
So many years ago, it must be 3 or 4 years now, I drove up to Sacramento for the first time, and I sat Paul down and I said, Paul, you're going to be the next Paul Crouch, and we're going to make the TBN of the internet. And he said no. I had it all figured out. I still have it all figured out. I would love to make it happen. I think we have the resources, but Paul needs to give the go-ahead, and he refuses. So,
well, maybe we just hand it off to him. We give him a present someday, and it's just there, and it's just, this is yours, Paul.
Well,
enjoy.
No, the thing is, if
you think it has to be more coordinated than that.
That's the problem. The problem is that it just needs to be. So the comparison I make is, as a kid, did you ever do that experiment where you boil water and you put a lot of sugar, you dissolve a lot of sugar, and then you let it cool, and then you drop one crystal in, and the whole thing crystallizes? Do you know that experiment?
No, I have never did that one as a kid. I missed it.
Do it as an adult. It's still fun.
Okay. What happens? What happens? It makes
it
stalactite?
suddenly crystallizes. Yeah, it suddenly crystallizes because it gets super saturated, right?
Oh, I see.
So when it's super saturated, it's just waiting for that one crystal to come into the super saturated solution, and suddenly it all crystallizes all at once.
Okay.
I'll
look it up.
Yeah, see, other people have done it. So
Brother William.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul is just still not ready to be Paul Crouch. I don't blame him. That kind of ended bad for Paul Crouch.
Well,
that is.
Yeah, I mean,
his kids inherited it, but I don't blame Paul for not wanting all that attention, though. I mean, I've already attracted too much, and I'm feeling the anxiety. I can't imagine feeling it where he's at already, and then with the prospect of going like Pajot size or bigger. I mean, that takes some mental work. You gotta. That's an intimidating prospect. I think he said it before. He's kind of afraid of having his life messed up by all this.
Precisely what will happen. But guess what? Pick up your cross and go to Jerusalem.
There you go. Jerusalem's calling.
Yeah.
From Jerusalem. For us Christians, though, it's from Jerusalem. From Jerusalem, it's to Rome, and we all know what happens to us in Rome.
Well, that's with Paul, and my theory is that what happened to Paul when he went to Rome is he recanted and became the governor of Spain. That's my theory.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi, Sandy. By the way, let me not. I got to say hi to Sandy. I don't want to act like I'm ignoring her. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt. Hi.
Because the end of Acts, my theory is if it was anything other than something incredibly embarrassing, somebody would have finished Acts. I don't care if Luke died at the end of Acts. I don't care. Like, somebody would have finished Acts. But what actually had to have happened is everybody had to know, like, it was well known and nobody wanted to talk about what happened to Paul after at the end of Acts. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Well, a lot of it depends on in what communities Acts. At some point, Acts becomes too sacred to monkey around with intentionally, right? I mean, so with any of these books, you can imagine them early on, possibly, but if depends on where in what community that book was distributed in our copies, whatever copy we inherited, of course. Presumably they were distributed throughout major churches in a given region and then passed along and moved, but at some point they may not have. Sometimes you think the book of Revelation, it warns explicitly against monkeying around with the text.
Yeah, Yeah, but I mean, if you believe Acts was written during the lifetime of Paul,
Mm,
when
right.
it wasn't obvious what happened at the end,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
That's
it's a weird ending.
early. That's
Yeah.
pretty early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Anything's possible. But church tradition is church tradition, and you got to wonder why it we don't have anything that explicitly refutes it. That's the problem with modern scholarship. So much of it's built on speculation. It's they just assume that the given text is wrong, but then go off on speculative fantasies trying to make something more plausible than what is the tradition and or what's in the text itself. And I'm not sure they ever do, or rarely do they do much better than what's been given to us.
Yes, but I think that the Dead Sea Scrolls were a huge
True.
miraculous revelation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, no question, no question. By the way, did you ever?
Grizz says, "You
Sorry,
sure Paul didn't go to Rome and invent the Vatican?"
that was Peter, man. Peter did that job. So you better call Neil Jordan, aka formerly known as Neil Daedalus, and have him talk to you about that.
Has Neil's been on my channel? I think I don't know that there's too many Neils for me to keep them straight.
No, there's even more Jordans.
There's like 3 Jacobs,
Yeah.
and I'm not even the first Jacob. Jacob the Fool was around before I was.
I never met Jacob the Fool.
He's on Twitter,
Okay.
but other than that, he's not much involved on Discord and stuff anymore.
Only one Yob, and he doesn't need to say much, but boy, does he land with a punch.
Jacob
he does well. No, Yob. One
Oh,
Yob. We only have one Yob, but boy, when he comes around, it's amazing.
Yoav, yes.
Yoav, I'm sorry.
I for a minute there, I thought you were talking about Job.
So did I.
Yes, we have a Job.
Sorry, I apologize for the mispronunciation of his name. Yoav.
Yoav.
Yeah. Y-U-A-V. Okay.
Y-O-A-V. Yeah.
Y-O-A-V.
Yeah.
Yoav. Okay.
Yoav. Yeah.
Yoav. Awesome, dude.
God is my father, Yoav. Or God is the Father, Yoav.
That's an amazing name.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys up to?
I should be sleeping. I'm back at work at 7 a.m.
It's 11 o'clock there. Ooh, puppy!
That's Honey, folks. Playing with her giant plastic egg, and she'll do that until she collapses, basically.
How old is she?
A year and a half.
Oh my god, an actual puppy!
Yes. Oh, yeah. She's the real deal. Yeah. German Shepherds only stop being puppies at about a year and a half, so she's right at the end. Say hi. Yeah. Oh, yep.
Look at that face.
Oh.
I think somebody wants you to play with her, doesn't she?
No, believe it or not, she wants an audience.
Oh.
So she as long as I'm out here, I occasionally throw the ball for her or the egg, and even then she's just happy to have an audience. She's very much like a kid that way. It's more like it's not, I don't need you to play with me, but I do need you to watch me play.
Yeah, I used to have Happy Cam going. I should set that up again. The thing is, when I got Shadow, Happy stopped sleeping in her bed as much. I used to have
Shadow is the cat?
Yeah, Shadow's the cat. Yeah. And Shadow used to hang around in the Valley of the Shadow of Death, but she doesn't anymore.
Oh no. Was she sickly?
No, she just doesn't like it as much as she used to. Now she
Oh.
climbs up on top of the bookcases. Sometimes she'll go on that bookcase, sometimes she'll go on that bookcase. Right now, I think she's on one of the couches. Shadow, where'd you go? No, she's probably in my bed now.
Cats are funny. They are what they are.
I
Hey.
never thought my cat would be more snuggly and hold me-ish than my dog, but she is. You, oh, he must be talking to somebody else. Somebody he likes more than us.
Sorry, my daughter was talking to me about we have somebody coming over.
I knew it. It
Tomorrow.
was somebody you like more than us.
Yep. Absolutely. Sorry, guys.
You have a daughter? That's nice.
I do. I have a daughter and a son. The daughter's still with us. The son's with us too, but on another part of this planet. He's on the other side of the world right now. He's in Italy and he lives in Chicago. So yeah, but the daughter is physically with me.
Aha.
Yeah, yes, very very happy with my children. So, how about you, Sandy? You have a son.
I have 2 sons.
Oh, I have 2 sons. Okay.
Hmm. One's an hour south of me. I go and pick him up several times a week, mostly because he's in a group home and he does not drive. And the other one lives 10 hours north of me. And I will see
Okay.
him in the fall at Thanksgiving.
Okay. Well, 10 hours at least isn't across the country. That's good. That's better than
No.
nothing.
Oh yeah, he's driving distance. It's not.
Yeah,
It's a day.
it is a day. Yeah. Let the dog go.
But yeah, no daughters here. My mother begged me. She even suggested I adopt one. She didn't care how I got one, just that I should have one.
Have a dog.
Yeah.
It's funny. They're every kid's different. But if I looking back, I think daughters are more difficult to raise than sons.
Yeah, if I had one, she'd probably. No, she could have been like John, but I was gonna say she'd probably be like me. Yeah.
They're complicated.
Mm-hmm.
That's so sexist of you, Mark. There's no difference between boys and girls if you have never had children.
Exactly. If you've never had children. But then no, there's no question. They're just vastly more complicated. Boys can be complicated, but the girls take it to a whole new level. Yeah, in my experience. But then again, I should have had 5 girls and 5 boys. I was just, that's one of the things I mentioned to Risto today. In retrospect, I wish we had had a lot more children. We had 2, seemed reasonable at the time, and it felt like all we could handle at the time. And in retrospect, I think I wish I would have had a whole lot more, because it's just I didn't expect to enjoy them as much as adults. And then just big families are nice if you can have the faith to have them when you're young. You got to do it when you're young, but
Well,
they're cool.
society told people of your era that having too many children is child abuse, and you should have smaller children and pay more attention to smaller numbers of children, and like we have an overpopulation and all that bullshit. And it's just
that never entered into my thinking though when we were doing it. It was always about it was finances sometimes, but we just had when we stopped, we just said my wife insisted on my wife was in charge, and obviously for obvious reasons. And we had one, and then we had the other one, and we had one of each at that point. And we went, this is good. And she was happy to leave it at that. I mean, since it's her body to be going through it all, it's just, but I think the thing is it's a little, because you feel when you have, mine were only a year and a half apart. So, 2 toddlers basically, or one older toddler, one little toddler, a baby and a toddler. that's a lot. So these people who do triplets or twins, I can't imagine. And in fact, I'm going to talk to Luke Freeman, and he's got 2 sets of twins on his hands. So that's wild.
Yeah, so in the Hasidic community, your people routinely get married at age 18, and there was a couple that got married at age 18, and first year of marriage they had twins, and second year of marriage they had triplets. The entire community came together to help them out. It was really beautiful. At the same time, it made me really appreciate how, like, you know, if the community wasn't what it is, the Hasidic community, like, there's no way you can handle that. And it's not like they were really being irresponsible. Like, most people do not, like, most women do not get pregnant when they're breastfeeding. And, like,
that's a rumor.
And no, it's not a rumor. It's true.
Okay.
And there's and like, okay, even if it had been one at a time, you know, it would have been fine. Or if it had been twins and then one, but to have twins and then have triplets, like, yeah, what do you do with that?
No, that's serious. I mean, it's but the family situation that could have handled that would have been my dad's family, for example, where they it was 7 boys and 1 girl. He had 6 brothers and 1 sister. So there were 8 kids in total, and close. They lived geographically close to each other. When one of them moved when the girl moved to California, the whole family migrated west from Indiana. And that was just a super tight bond. And I think when they were younger, particularly, they probably would have rallied around an event like that. But it would have all been, let's see, my family's very patriarchal and old school. So all that burden would have fallen on the wives, of course, not really the husbands. Maybe, you know, the brothers would have chipped in maybe a little here and there financially or something, but the burden of labor, of the work, of the care of the children would have gone to all the women. So, you know, traditional, yeah, who's carrying that load, you know? It's tricky, but the Hasidic, that you need a community like that for a situation like that. I mean, it seems like it. I suppose you survive anything, but yeah,
You do what you got to do.
yeah, pretty much.
I'm still primary caregiver on my son, the one that's south of me in the group home.
Right.
Government wants a name on the, you know, thing. Of his CPAP machine mask broke when they were up at Def Camp, and I had to sign for it. $300 probably went on my oh shoot, I should check my charge card. Anyway, yeah, and had to make sure we went down and picked it up because they were out of town. You know, going to be doing that till I'm 90 probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just
that's hard. That's hard, Sandy. That's hard. I get it.
My my ex's family, he was the youngest of 12. 9 boys and 3 girls. And he used to smile when people, first year I was married, and people that didn't know him would ask me. And I'd tell them that, and they'd go, "Is she still alive?" And I think, yeah, she's still alive. But she did, first thing when we got married, without a word of a lie, she looked at me. I went over for coffee, and she looked at me and she said, "I've had kids in school for 39 years. What do I do now?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is funny, you know. And even
I don't
so,
know. It would be interesting. It's nobody ever asked them. I, is that the life? You got to wonder. Is that the life she wanted? I mean, it's such a modern, contemporary question to ask a woman that. I suppose
I don't
because like
know.
my, you never asked. No one ever asked my grandmother. Did you? And she would never have said otherwise. Other than that, all the children were a blessing, even though we all know that a couple of them weren't. And as Elise is grown, as grown men, they were less than a blessing. But for her, they were a blessing.
Hard to say. Her dad died when she was 13, and all the families in Holland were big families. I don't know. I actually don't even know how many brothers and sisters she had. I just know that when she was telling me they didn't do as well as somebody in her family, because my kids are grandchild number 33 and 34, and some of her siblings had 50 grandchildren. And but I know like she got put out to do like to work at the uncle, take care of the house and stuff. She probably looked after their kids and did all the usual stuff you do as a girl in the family. I'm not sure how old she was when she got married, but I know they had to, as the saying goes, back in the day, and that sticks with you too, But that's kind of the whole. It's Yeah, women have different lives than men. They'll try to tell you different today because, they've I appreciate a lot of the things that women that stood up for women's rights and certain things got. But even for my generation, some of the stuff, there's things I wish were changed already by the time I got married.
What
Few
I have seen very large numbers of, and part of it is because as an insurance agent, like when people turn 65, they come to me to sign up for Medicare. So I have seen this many, many times over, both with men, but mostly with women, is they um, sometimes didn't get married at all, but sometimes even if they did get married, they didn't have children.
Right?
And they're turning 65, and some of them were told that you would, if you will be very happy with a high power career, and some of them tried for a high power career and made it, and some of them tried for a high power career and didn't make it. And a lot of them, not all of them, very much feel like they were lied to. And that's one of the reasons I like Jordan Peterson, is he talks about the fact that, look, for the vast majority of women, and this is just a biological fact, they would be happier having children than having some high power career as a businessman or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, even if they're very good at it. And frankly, he's not the first person to tell me that. I took a gender law class with Susan Estridge. I don't know if you know who Susan Estridge is, but
No.
she was the first female campaign manager for a presidential campaign. High-powered attorney. You can look her up, really. And she was talking about how during the Democratic National Convention, which she was running, she was taking fertility shots because she wanted to finally have kids. And she had waited as a young woman to have kids. Yoav, מה שלומך?
Doing fine. Go on.
And I mean, she spent most of the class, the semester, talking about how women, her students and stuff, how they wish they had children, and how employment law needs to have room for women wanting to be mothers.
Yeah, I don't know how it compares there to here. I think so. I think you can have shared maternity leave now. One of the guys at church this morning was saying he's taking the summer off. He's got 2 months maternity leave. They just adopted the little boy they were fostering. And back in the day, I ended up staying home anyways because of health reasons. Jacob's as well as mine, but technically it would have been 6 months. You get 6 months.
But what's 6 months?
It's nothing.
I mean, yeah. And a story she told, one of her students was a lesbian, and she didn't know, like, she didn't know whether or not to be out, right? And she had decided she was going to tell the partners that, you know, she's with a partner. And so she asks the partners for a meeting, and they sit down, and she starts telling them, and they look at her shocked and say, "Oh, you're not pregnant?" She's like, "No." "And you're not going to be pregnant?" She's like, "Well, I mean, if we have a child, probably my partner would carry the child." And they were so ecstatic. They were so happy about this, right? And she talked about a judge who had called her and was fuming mad about a clerk, somebody she had taken on as a clerk at a prestigious judgeship. And then when in the middle of her career, this person that she was mentoring had decided to have children, and like the judge was furious, like, you recommended this person as a clerk, and now she's thrown it all away having children. I mean, this is real.
Well,
I want to boast about how good things are here. A lot of employers are positively encouraging children. At my parking lot where I work, there is a special allotted place for invalids, and there's also special allotted place for women, pregnant women, so they don't have to walk much from the parking lot to work. I think that the work left in Israel sees as a DEI issue. I mean, it's an encumberment, and we're going to do our best to help you work and succeed through it. And everybody in Israel are having children, lots of children. We don't have a children problem at all. I want to connect it It's something you said. I think you were afraid that Israel is too much of a theocracy. And my comment to that, only if you want to. If you are feeling yourself as an Orthodox Jew and you want to use the services of the religious establishment, they will make your life as miserable as they possibly can for you because they are a bureaucracy. I know a case of an observant Jew. His brother got married all through the process of the religious bureaucracy. And when his time came to get married, they raised trouble for him. Can you really prove us to that you are really a Jew? Yeah, but you married my brother. Yeah, but we're not quite satisfied. And it can be troublesome because you can already have a wedding and the guest invited, and the rabbi arrives and the rabbi says in the last moment, well, I have an issue with something. And it can give trouble to you. So the conservative religious Jew might be in a position that they really hate their establishment for being a bureaucracy. On the other hand, if you are a Jew like me, who is not observant, you can get married anywhere you want. The state doesn't stop you. You can design your own wedding ceremony or not wedding ceremony at all, however you please. For example, my children are just in the right age when their and all their friends are getting married. Every marriage ceremony is a surprise because you don't know what's going to happen. Who's going to act as the rabbi? What is he going to say? So we have a winning formula somehow. The children, even if they get leftish at work, they wake up very, very early, and they realize quite early enough that they actually do, even if they started a career, if they have a promising career. They wake up, generally speaking, they wake up early enough to have children. And because everybody does. I mean, you see around here, you see your friends, you see their children, you see their experience. So it's contagious.
You have to understand my position on Israel is very idiosyncratic.
It's complicated.
It's I mean, people joke it's Jacob because I'm very idiosyncratic, and I am very idiosyncratic. I'm a Sephardic Satmar Chabad mix of weirdness, and yeah, my experience, I mean, my views are I don't know how much you've listened to sometimes when Chazi and I go at it, but yeah, one of my concerns is with theocracy because I was born in Iran, right? And I saw what Iran is like. And when people say Israel lo tiheh Iran, I agree. Israel should not be Iran. I definitely agree. At the same time, living in the United States, I see what a secular state really is. And Israel isn't a secular state, not in any way that we would consider secular democracy here. You know, if our national anthem said Nefesh Notzri Homia, right? That the Christian soul yearns, we would change the national anthem. We don't have a cross on our flag, right? And we certainly don't have a chief anything like the chief rabbinate. Two chief rabbis, not just one. Two.
That's like the days of two popes. That's cool.
It's actually a holdover from the Turkish mandate, and then the Turkish, the Ottoman Empire, and then the British mandate. But yeah, there's two chief rabbis. There's a Sephardic chief rabbi and an Ashkenazi chief rabbi.
That makes sense.
And they're both crooks always, because do you know who gets the vote to vote? Who's the chief rabbi? The mayors.
Yeah, I was going to say who came up with that formula.
So when what's his name, Gilad.
Well, I have to push back on that. There are politicians. Politicians tend to be crooks. Sometimes, once in 2 generations, you get a real statesman. You can get possibly sometimes a chief rabbi with more of a visionary and a statement than a crook.
Okay, Mordechai Eliyahu and Ovadia Yosef were both prominent rabbis in addition to being chief rabbi. I don't think the vast majority of Israelis were happy with either one of them. Maybe more with Mordechai Eliyahu than Ovadia Yosef. But Ovadia Yosef, he started a political party which I won't talk about Aryeh Deri. But which is not beloved by many, many people. Let's put it that way. And I wish Rav Ovadia had stayed a rabbi and stayed out of politics. I wish he wasn't a political figure, because he was a very good rabbi. And I don't like the mixture of politics and religion. I lived under the Velayat Faqih of Khomeini, and so this is why, when it comes to I'm kind of in the Satmar camp. I'm more in the Chabad camp than the Satmar camp, but I have the Satmar Rebbe's book Al Hagula Val Atmura over there. I don't think the yeshivas should be taking any money from the state.
Is Israel more of an ethnic state than a religious state?
No, because we're not in the same ethnicity. Like my grandmother never made matzo ball soup. She never made Yerushalmi kugel, and she never made she never spoke Yiddish. And
But if we did DNA on you guys, you would there would still be a link between Sephardic and Ashkenazi.
There
Yes,
would be a link, but first of all, the link isn't
substantial enough to be an ethnicity.
I mean, when it comes down to it, as far as food goes, like my family still speaks Aramaic. I have family who still speak Aramaic. Our Shabbat table on Friday night, they were speaking Aramaic. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And my family calls the Ashkenazim Wuswusim, because Wus is it means what in German, and Yiddish is a Germanic language.
Mm-hmm.
I will give another answer, and I don't think you should look at the genetics. And ethnicity is self-defined. The question is, do the Israelis self-define as an ethnicity? And after some 2-3 generations of intermarriage, the genetic question becomes irrelevant, which goes back to the question of that political party. If you have a minority and the minority feels downtrodden, in a democracy, it's perfectly reasonable for them to erect a party, have their day in the parliament and in the government, and then after a while realize that their own politicians are crooked and move to another party. But that's how democracy should work. Unlike some other places when you have only one or two parties and you have a minority that actually cannot speak for itself.
So Yoav, you talk from the point of view of a secular Jew, but being Jewish still matters. Like, is it worth, like, when you talk intermarriage, I'm thinking you mean between the sects of like the different Jewish families, you know. And I mean, I think back, my partner was at one point checking DNA. His mother was adopted. You know, he got to a point he needed to know how Jewish he was, you know. Married a Catholic girl that he divorced. He's like, my children are nothing. They're not Catholic. They're not Jewish. My children are nothing. You know, these things matter to people. I mean,
well, this is on him. It is on him to try to make of his children whatever he thinks he needs to. He may fail, but that is his mission in life.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was going to fail, but
Yoav,
same thing.
If the prime minister of Israel ends up being a Muslim, right? Is that okay?
No sound.
If he passes a budget, then it's okay. Because forming a coalition is like engagement. It's not marriage. The minute his coalition passes a budget, it means that the majority of the population signs on this budget. It won't, I mean, practically speaking, it won't happen if he's a Muslim. But we had Arab parties in the coalition already. So that's a first step.
Yeah, but it's a step a lot of people, and frankly, I mean, look, I understand the idea of Jewish self-determination, right? And if it was an actually Jewish country, right, that was defined by Judaism, which it's not, then I could understand people saying, okay, Jewish self-determination, we want our leaders to be Jewish. But this...
Okay. What is Israel? Israel is a coalition. As you know, the Jews are of varying beliefs and varying politics. And you could never, when you erected the state, you could never make them agree on anything. So you couldn't have possibly erected the state of Israel if you wanted any kind of a consensus. So we gave up on that. We wrote a scroll or a declaration that some people will say it's like your constitution, but it isn't. It has no legal strength whatsoever. We wrote something about a belief in God in that piece of paper, which means nothing. And it was a piece of paper that everybody could sign on, and we could go on practically on the practical problems. So still, it is a coalition. You have extreme non-Zionistic Jewish parties in the government, You have non-Zionistic Arab parties in the parliament, sometimes in the coalition, and there is no rhyme and order and hope to it, but that's what we are. This is how we live generally. We don't live by principles and rules. We have to. I give you an example. By 48, we had a war. We had a war with several Arab countries, and it was quite clear we're going to lose and all die out terrible death if we don't do something urgent about it. So the leaders of the two opposing parties, it was like the left and the right, like as it used to be in the 40s, not left and right as they are now. Imagine a socialist party bordering on communism and a right-wing party toying with fascism, and they have to each having its own army, each party having its own army, and they just decided that they're going to join forces together because there's no other choice. So each of them dismantled its own army, and they quickly established one army, and that's the IDF. And they don't hate each other as much as they used to hate each other in the 40s. They don't actually actively shoot at each other anymore. So that's
anymore.
Good. That's good news. In Tel Aviv beach, we had a memorial on the beach for the ship called Altalena. It was bringing shipments of arms. We were at war. We were in a very serious, life-threatening war. And that ship was bringing arms to the state of Israel. But it wasn't well coordinated between the parties. So we blew up our own ships. And we killed our own sailors. And it happened. But it's not going to happen again, or it hasn't happened again since the 40s. So no, you will not find any principle and rule and rhyme to it. It is a coalition, it's an ad hoc coalition that is hanging on because it just has to.
Yeah, Israel is very ad hoc. How did Gilad put it? It's kept together with bubble gum.
Yeah, that's the way we do it at in my working life. This is
Or is it kept together by the external threats?
That's part of it.
That's more than bubblegum.
Well,
That's what Yav just described. It was the existential threat that caused those factions to unite. Yes.
and frankly, there's more than a few Orthodox Jews, from not even the most extreme ones, who sincerely believe that October 7th is a result of spiritual disunity, and that it's what's keeping Israel together, and that's a very sad state of affairs.
Yeah, but that's very true. But since we were born into this situation and we grew up into this situation, this is the way we work. This is the way we conduct our business. I mean, I'm watching with admiration the CRC deliberation in the Synod. They have the protocol, and they have a way of discussing things in an orderly manner that is very American. And I used to work a lot with Americans, and I used to watch it happening in technical committees, and I really like it as an observer. But I never entered any meeting in my working life in Israel where there was any agenda printing in advance, any protocol, or anyone in the meeting that actually realized that working according to an agenda protocol is actually a possibility.
I laugh because I recognize what you're saying, not because you're wrong.
I'm curious if peace could be had, and the Jews of Israel feel secure and be actually secure, not just feel secure. I'm wondering if, I've often wondered if Israel can be both a democracy and a Jewish state. It seems that you can't be, you have to choose being one or the other. And I'm wondering if you could be, if you had to choose between being a Jewish state that's perpetually at war with its neighbors versus being a state that's safe for Jews, that's at peace with its neighbors, which would you choose?
I will not answer the hypothetical, but as you know, with Christianity, religion split. And even now, you can take the conservative religious Jews and you can split them according to many lines. Some of them are fiercely Zionistics and they think this is the beginning of the coming of the Messiah. Some of them are fiercely anti-Zionistics and think this is what stops the coming of the Messiah. The Jews will never gather around any one idea. It never happened, never will happen.
That's the argument Chezi and I have. He's part of the first crew Yoav talked about, and I'm part of the second crew.
But the reason that Israel exists is because the world wasn't safe for Jews. Essentially, I mean, that's what World War II proved and the Holocaust. And so I think the world woke up and...
I think that's a narrative that a lot of people tell, which I would rather not discuss because, frankly, the Holocaust is still a fresh wound. But the idea that the Zionists, when I was in Israel, so I was a young man, I was 22.
I'm a more militant advocate for Israel, by the way, than Jacob is, Yoav, just so you know.
Everybody. I was 22, and when I was in college, I would go to AIPAC meetings, and I was proudly Zionist, and when I went to yeshiva in Or Sameach in Jerusalem, my mother was afraid I would never come back. And it was a real fear. And while I was in Israel, I read, there's a book called Perfidy by Ben Hecht, which was written in English and was illegal to print in Israel for 50 years, for good reason. And I went to the most Zionist rabbi in my yeshiva, Rabbi Beryl Wein, who is a historian, and I asked him about the facts of the situation, and he just sighed, and I cried, and I never referred to Lod Airport by the name of that man again. And that was when I became very much into Satmar. And when I came to Los Angeles, I would only go to Satmar synagogues. Because in those synagogues, they don't pray for the state of Israel.
Well, are you implying that Zionists are fallen people and they sometimes commit either grave crimes or grave mistakes?
So to explain, and slowly I became more and more involved in Chabad, and I started having what I hope is an even more nuanced view. I still don't sing Hatikva, and I still don't wear IDF or Israeli flags. But I'm strong anti-Zionist that I was, and I was a strong anti-Zionist. because one of the biggest reasons is because of the anti-Semitism that is pervasive in the anti-Zionist movement. I didn't leave the anti-Zionist movement as much as I got kicked out of it. And so I find myself now often referring to myself as a non-Zionist. And a little while back on Twitter, I said, if by Zionist you mean someone who thinks that there's religious significance to the state of Israel, I'm an anti-Zionist. And if by Zionist you mean someone who thinks that I should especially care about the state of Israel more than any other government, especially the United States, I am an American, I am a proud American, that I am a non-Zionist. But if by Zionist you mean Jew, I'm a Zionist because I'm a Jew. You're muted, Sandy.
That's because I was typing about important things like scones with cream and jam. Sorry. What about the land?
The land is holy. That's beside the point.
That's what I was asking.
That's beside the point. The land is holy regardless of which political entity rules over it and what any human agency does. The holiness, kedushat haaretz omedet. It is something that is part of everybody. I mean, within Judaism, there's no question that the holiness of the land is part of our religion. The question is, what does that mean for us, including whether or not we need to be willing to die to live there? And one of the reasons I very much like Rav Ovadia Yosef is that he, like every other rabbi I very much respect, said that no, we would not pay a drop of blood for the entirety of the land of Israel. We would not a single drop of blood.
Well, that's why I asked, because basically, if you asked me from just what I read in the scripture, long before the land came into it, Israel is the people. Israel is only holy because God chose Abraham and sent him there and said, this is like, it gets woven into the same thing, you know, a holy people, a holy land for a people who have set themselves apart for God. Like every other religion, you guys screw up, same as we do. But that doesn't really change the story. Not that much.
What do you do about the prophecy in Ezekiel? You don't see it? The Valley of Dry Bones and all that?
I do not see what happened in 1948, and this is the big fight that Chezi and I have. He believes that what happened in 1948 is a fulfillment of prophecy, and I don't. Right. I don't. So he says a prayer called Hallel on the day that that man whose name I won't say and a few other people signed that piece of paper that Yoav was talking about, which kind of, sort of, but deliberately not really talks about God. It talks about Tzur Israel, the rock of Israel. It doesn't. That's the only reference it makes to God, and that was negotiated because the communists, socialists, communists didn't want any reference to God whatsoever, and so the joke among Hasidim is on that day we say Tachanun because Hasidim almost never say Tachanun, which is a prayer of contrition, and there are people who don't say Tachanun, but they also don't say Hallel, which is a prayer of thanksgiving. And I hope I have finally over the years convinced Chazi at least that he should not say he should not say Hallel with a bracha. I dare not ask him if he still says it with a bracha or not, because frankly, I think to say it with a bracha is it's a desecration. For me, it is a religious line that I think is no one should cross, but many people do. And I can explain why if anybody's interested, but it's Jewish technicalities. But that is the essence of the disagreement, like between me and Chazi and Yosef about Zionism and Israel. Not that I'm sure I explained it to anybody.
Which side does Yosef land on? I know Hezi.
Yosef does not say, I believe he says Hallel, he doesn't say a bracha. I know that Chazi used to say it with a bracha. I'm pretty sure he doesn't anymore, but I generally stay away from the topic if I can. To say, so to explain the technicalities of Jewish law, so to say a bracha invokes the name of God, and so we don't do that if there is any doubt, which is any doubt because you might be violating the fourth commandment against taking God's name in vain. And what bothers me about the people who would say Hallel with a bracha is that they're saying that the people who say you should not say the bracha at all don't count as rabbis at all. They're saying we don't care. Anyone who says anyone who says you should not say Hallel is not a valid rabbi. That's what they're saying. And to go that far I believe is busha v'cherpa, and such a person divorces themselves from the Jewish community. And so if you want to say Hallel, say Hallel. Don't say a bracha. Don't say a bracha. How dare you? But okay, whatever. Don't get my blood.
I didn't even know what landmine I was stepping on there, Jacob. Just a dumb American, man. Give me a break.
We've Chazi and I have discussed this on the channel before.
Ad
I'm not
nauseam.
sure Yoav was aware of our disagreement. I still do, Yaakov. Hashem Yeracham Aleinu, and I would be nervous to repeat the ways of King Chizkiah, but not by not giving praise. You don't have to say B'Shem. You don't have to say the bracha. Say Hallel. You don't have to say the bracha. Saying the bracha is to say that every rabbi who says you shouldn't say Hallel doesn't even count as no. If you understand the position, then you shouldn't say the bracha. When you say the bracha, you're saying every posek who says you shouldn't say Hallel is not a rabbi. That's not a valid opinion at all. I am not even choshesh that this is a safek brachot la'akel. How dare you?
So when I look up Ezekiel and the dry bones, it says that it's part of your Pesach. Why?
Where? What?
Where what?
Who says it's part of the Pesach?
Let me go back and find it.
I mean, I believe you that somebody says it, but I don't know. That's what, Ezekiel 18 or something? No, not 18. Zechariah.
37, 1-14.
Ezekiel or Zechariah?
Hang on.
Ezekiel 37, you said?
That's what it says here, 37, 12 to 14, the Valley of Dry Bones.
12 to 14. Pull this up. So people can see it. Lachen hinave, therefore prophecy. Where were we? So who says Passover? Where?
Let me. Let me see what it says. Maybe I'm misreading it.
Which commentary? I mean,
I can't pronounce it, but so from Chabad it says a commentary on the Haftarah of Shabbat called Hamod Pesach.
yeah, which commentary?
I'm still reading.
It would be in the notes. There should be a footnote.
Let me have a look. Down.
Or you can send me the page you're reading.
Okay, this was just one of the pages, but it's Chabad, so figured. Okay, so hang on.
Who are the CRC of the Jewish world? You mean the Chicago Rabbinical Council? If you mean by CRC people who do things formally, I'm not sure any of them are. Okay, so
That's one of the references.
Oh, so why do we? Yeah, so it's read during Chol HaMoed Passover. Yes. Rav Hai Gaon, he was one of the Gaonim, testifies that we have an oral tradition that the resurrection of the dead will occur in the month of Nisan. Okay, we have lots of traditions about. You could come up with a tradition when every single day will happen. No, I mean no. So it's not saying that those particular bones necessarily have to do with the Passover. It's saying
no, I didn't.
the prophecy. Yeah, I didn't understand what you're saying. Yeah, okay. So so this is one of the Jewish things. You can, for any day of the Jewish calendar, you can find somebody who says that this is the day the Messiah will come. That's a thing.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. The Koran Bible is not the same as the Jerusalem Bible most people talk about. What's the translation that I'm using? Oh, it says Koran Jerusalem Bible. Okay. I guess you know what? Maybe JPS. I was thinking of something else. The Jewish Publication Society, or no, the Jerusalem Bible is something other than the Koran Bible. So
Isn't that Catholic?
I don't know what the Jerusalem Bible is, but it's
Hang
not
on.
Jewish.
No, I'd be back.
I've got to bow out. Have a good night, Jacob.
It's nice having you.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice hearing from Yoav. And God bless.
Yoav, we're staring at ourselves. There you go.
Okay. Boom. Hey, Yoav.
I will have to go. I mean, it's the start of a working day. I have to start. Lovely talking to you.
It was very nice talking to you. I hope I didn't scare you too much with my rants.
I scare me with what?
My rants, my screaming. No? You're used to my rants?
No, I'm used to living with Jews. Everybody I see every day is a Jew.
I'm glad you said it. That's what I was
You're
going
not
to
as abnormal as you think. Lovely talking to you.
Lovely talking to you. Bye-bye.
Okay. La Biblia de Jerusalem, originally published in France, was the culmination. Oh, I can't read over glasses. Here, it was the culmination of decades of research and biblical scholarship. Blah blah blah. Where does it say who? Reader's edition, translation that employs. Where is it going to tell me anything useful besides that Doubleday published it? Nothing to do with Jewish.
I know that nobody I respect says it with a bracha, Chazi. And anybody who says it with a bracha is somebody I don't respect. To say it with a bracha is to be porish min hatzibur, and I am absolutely opposed to. I don't understand anybody who has the chutzpah to say it with a bracha is somebody who should not be considered a rabbi, in my book.
What is a bracha for those of
A
us?
bracha is a blessing, but
Okay.
you use the name of God when you say a bracha. And
What?
so you're not supposed to do it unless you're absolutely sure that it is an occasion which requires the
Thought
saying
you guys
the
never
bracha.
said the name of God.
Well, there you go.
Huh.
No, I mean to mention God at all.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not like there's thank God. It's not like they're saying the Tetragrammaton, but close enough.
I know nothing about this book, just that it's got a lot of extra books in it.
Yes, it has the Deuterocanon in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it still reads backwards.
It doesn't have the Hebrew in it.
No,
I didn't think so.
no. It's all English.
So it's not a real Bible.
Basically. Doubleday published it. Huh.
It's only a real Bible if it's handwritten by a scribe on parchment. Those are really expensive.
I have never seen a real Bible then.
I don't think I've ever seen. Maybe in the museum I've seen one with the entire Tanakh. I've seen various scrolls, but like the entire Tanakh, handwritten by a scribe, is very rare. There are people who have Sefer Haftarot, which has all the liturgical readings, which isn't the entire Bible, of course, but it's most of the Bible. Well, is it? I mean, I don't think we have any liturgical readings from like Proverbs or well, yeah. I mean, we don't like read much of Chronicles or stuff in the synagogue. I don't know. Is a Sefer Haftarot most of the Bible? Oh, okay. So apparently, a Mahudar Sefer Haftarot has the entirety of Nachana. There you go.
That's a lot of handwriting.
Yeah, very few places have a handwritten Sefer Haftarot. I mean, many synagogues. I mean, even a lot of synagogues don't even have a Sefer Haftarot, which is on a scroll, but those are printed usually.
Yeah.
They're not handwritten.
Closest I came to seeing anything like that was, and I don't even know, it would have been images probably, which is a terrible thing to do if that's the case. But when the Dead Sea Scrolls, was it around 2010, 12, somewhere around there, that the museums were all having tours. We went down to Toronto to see and have somebody explain to us all about the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is probably a terrible interpretation of.
Here you go. Sefer Haftarot written on parchment, 13,500 on eBay.
Wow. That's just a little bit of pocket change.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Sefer Torah, 10,000. That's probably actually kind of cheap. Sefer Torah. Sefer Torahs are $10,000 to $30,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a collection of Bibles, just English ones, not on purpose. People just keep leaving them to me. I got my grandfather's and, my aunts. My grandmother's was a bit of an embarrassment because she would write things in the pages. Not always things you wanted to read.
Oh, I wasn't showing you guys what I was looking at. Sorry. I meant to be showing you guys this.
Ah. Nice.
$28,000. One other person has this in their cart.
How long do they now with rolling them, it would be easier than
Well,
folding.
so what happens is when you're reading it, if you notice a problem, you need to go get it checked. But since people read from them constantly and read the entire thing every year, you don't actually have to get it checked without, unless you notice a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people who sell these are scribes. And generally, it is forbidden to sell them to Gentiles anyway. So the people who are selling them online or something like that will either not sell them without making sure you're Jewish, or they will, or there are people who don't care. And by the time it's fallen into their hands, who knows how it got into their hands. Sifrei Torah do get stolen a lot, which is why it has become quite common for arks to actually be safes. So a lot of arks in a lot of synagogues are actually safes. There she is.
I was looking for her before.
My little murderer.
Did she find a mouse?
No, she hasn't actually killed anything real. She did kill. She did destroy the little ball that was hanging there once. That's the only thing she's actually killed, and she bullies Happy unmercilessly.
I've been watching cat videos this week, staring down deer, moose, other things like that.
Yeah, she Happy definitely gets bullied by Shadow, which is hilarious because I just weighed Shadow yesterday and she's 11.8 pounds, and Happy's closer to 80 pounds.
Yep. Yeah, she makes the most of those 11 pounds. Small but mighty.
Orthodox Boomer Grandma, when are you gonna come on my channel? I've been wanting to speak to you for a very long time. You should jump on.
The link is at the top. Jacob could even repost it.
The link actually probably is not at the top.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't usually go and but here it goes. Now it's at the top. Not tonight, she says. Not tonight.
Oh, come on. 5 minutes.
You should email me and we should figure out a time when you could come on. Because I really want to talk to you about your experiences being a clinical psychologist. Then please do not let me keep you from your sleep. She lives a monastic life.
Really?
She does.
Wow.
She does. From what I hear. Dr. Alexandra Union is her name. She's a clinical psychologist. Oh, that's her email at gmail.com. I will email you, Dr. Union.
Sounds like she is willing to talk. Married hermit. That sounds lovely, actually. Oh, yeah. You got a great hubby. You keep him. Be very happy.
I just sent you an email. Hopefully it's not in your spam.
Nice. It's funny. You think all the good man. This is the new conversation. Oh dear. Yeah.
So why doesn't he get ordained?
Where was he a deacon? Like, was
They're Greek Orthodox.
they're Greek Orthodox? Okay. I figured it had to be something that my brother-in-law was a deacon before he became a priest in the Anglican. So, but most places,
being 78 doesn't mean he can't get ordained.
not at all. Yeah. Yeah. Wonder how many deacons go for ordination.
Well, to be a deacon is actually ordination in Orthodox and Catholic churches, but yeah. So they have deacon, presbyter, and then bishop.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of a weird Protestant, because to me, ordained means, hey, like I listen to all the arguments about ordination, and I'm thinking, but isn't that the word where it says, God, like God so ordained that this or that? So it's kind of like I've always just assumed that it meant what it meant. Yeah. Oh, it's one of those. Okay.
Yeah, priests can't marry. So Orthodox priests can't marry after their wife dies.
That's sad.
But they can become bishops after their wives die.
That's not the same. I'd have been perfectly happy to be happily married to Jack till I was 100 if he wouldn't have died. But that's it.
Yeah,
That's
my
it.
joke is the bishops are holy because when they prayed for their wife to die, God listened. Dun-dun-duns. I know that's not a very funny joke.
It's harder to be a wife than a nun. Yeah, but even so. Not everybody longs for the easy life.
Bye.
God meant for us all to be happily married. Everybody was somebody to irritate them and be irritated back. It's all fair.
Actually, we were kind of talking about that during Father Eric's live stream.
I think it's true. There's something. Yeah. What were you talking about in his live stream?
Well, I wasn't on the stream, but Mark was saying not everybody needs to be married, and I was like, "Yep, everybody needs to be married."
Everybody needs to work retail, and everybody needs to be married. Kind of similar reasons. Yeah. Whoa, that's a big bag.
And it's almost finished.
Wow.
Well, I bought it for a party.
Yeah.
Not that anybody at the party actually ate it any, but that's why it lasted so long.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was the party? The party was like 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I should not be eating so many tortilla chips. They're not good for me.
No. I tell myself that every time I have a bag. I bought grapes and cherries. They're still sitting in my fridge because I'm lecturing myself on things I choose to snack on. Yeah.
I love fruit. I could eat fruit forever.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good fruit. Fruit is good. Just think. You make it. Huh?
I'm thinking. You said just think.
Oh yeah, think. Well, I was reading in one of the Judaism sources that when you look at the trees, when God created the trees, that even the bark was supposed to, like the entire tree was meant to be eaten. So if you love fruit, you could. I mean, I've always thought about it. How do the trees bloom and how do they bear fruit?
Yeah.
Every
So,
single year.
yeah, this is the Kabbalists talk about this. Josh, what's his name? He has the YouTube channel where he talks about
Yeah, what is it?
Josh Rosen something. Is that who I'm thinking of? He has that channel with uh, let's see if I can find it. What's his name? This is gonna bother me forever.
Forever is a long time.
Well, until I find somebody linked one of his things recently. Mm. Oh, it was Yosef. Yosef linked something recently. Yeah, Joey Rosenfeld. That's what I was calling him.
Oh,
Gosh.
Reb Joey.
Yeah, Joey Rosenfeld. He talks about this stuff a lot.
I wondered if you meant him, but then I thought, no, you're probably talking about somebody like in TLC or connected
Nope.
group.
Nope.
Ah, he talks about really interesting stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Much smarter guy than I am.
Probably not. And yet, he
No,
talks about really
much
smart
smarter
stuff.
guy than I am.
Okay. You have a wide range of knowledge.
I can still tell when somebody's smarter than I am.
That's good. It's a good skill to have.
It's necessary. Very funny.
Yeah.
I should stop eating these chips.
Probably. Having made myself ill on bags of chips, I would tend to agree it's probably a good idea to put them down. And usually I crush them and then I roll them up into this twisted mess and throw them in the garbage that way. And if I'm really good, I don't go rescue them.
Oh, I don't throw them out ever.
Grapes are better.
Love that they have a lot of sugar.
Well, yeah. Okay, so what's a safe fruit to eat that doesn't have too much?
Apples, pears.
Yeah.
Berries.
Love apples, love pears.
I try to eat more of those and less of other fruits.
Blueberries and blackberries, love those. They're good.
Me too.
They're very good. Got to get somebody else to come in and talk to you. I got to go to sleep soon.
It's like midnight over there. It's like 1 a.m. over there.
Quarter to, and I'm back across the road working again at 7 a.m.
Sandy, go get some sleep. Good night.
Good night.
Sure, you can come on. You're not with Video Game Gooner.
Okay, bye.
Are you actually Video Game Gooner?
Not lately.
Okay, good. How you doing?
Thank God.
New job tomorrow.
I am starting a new job tomorrow.
What time do you have to leave?
Leaving at 6:30 just to make sure I'm there extra on time.
Yeah, you gotta drive a long way.
Yep. You're the one who said anything in LA County, as long as it's not in Long Beach.
Did I?
Yeah, that's what you suggested when I was thinking about taking jobs.
Even Long Beach isn't that bad.
Will be doable. I'm thinking how to best make use of my commute time by listening to stuff.
There you go. As long as you're going against traffic, you'll be fine. If you're going with traffic, you're not going to be fine.
You're gonna have a bad time.
What?
Hello, Video Game Gooner.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep,
Sorry, I'm on my phone.
it's quite all right.
I can move to my computer if you guys would like.
Video on is preferable, but it's up to you.
I would, but I'm in the dark.
Is that the Wii crossbow attachment?
Yes.
Got a real sharpshooter over here.
So how'd you find my channel?
I was just browsing the lives.
Oh, okay.
I can't sleep, so I thought I would just, check some stuff out. Hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Nice to meet you. I'm Jacob.
Nice to meet you. I'm you can just call me Gooner.
Okay, Gooner. What video games do you like?
A big Mario head.
Okay. There was a time when I used to play WoW way too much. I was like raiding 40 hours a week.
I hear you. I didn't get into that game because I knew it would just completely ruin me.
And I was not very good at it either, which was doubly sad.
I'm sure you were good.
I was a healer, but like I'm a keyboard turner, and when one of my clans found out that I was a keyboard turner, they kicked me out.
Oh, clans.
Yeah, so when you went raiding, you had to be in like huge groups. Yeah, like back when I started raiding, the dungeons used to be 40 people caps. Like getting a 40, like then they brought it down to 25, and then I think most people, I think nowadays people only really raid 15 man raids, but like 40 man raids were a thing. Yeah.
Interesting. What's that behind you?
That is an uncut sheet of Magic the Gathering commons.
I thought
yeah.
that's interesting. That's cool.
I got it from Wizards of the Coast directly.
Cool.
Do you play Magic?
No. A little complicated for me, but I also would lose my mind because I want to collect every card. And there's that, one.
You don't have that much money. Nobody has that much
I
money.
don't have that much money, and it would drive me nuts because that one of one Lord of the Rings card that sold for like what, $2 million or something.
Oh yeah, I don't know what exactly happened there, but yeah, so Wizards of the Coast, long time ago, said they're never going to do things like that, and then they eventually did. But yeah, I guess it's the one, so they only printed one of it. Yeah.
Yep.
No, but I mean, you can play the online versions for free.
Like Arena?
Yeah, Arena. Yeah.
Can we talk about how video games are such a massive waste of human male potential?
They really are. My sex drive is very low.
How low is it?
I don't even want to
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Don't
But
that low.
But I actually, one of the things that Jonathan Haidt has said is guys go online, they play a game with a bunch of their friends. It's not the huge problem that social media for females is, young females. So while it may appear that video games are doing massive amounts of damage to the male population in wasting their time, people like make friends, they somewhat get negotiating and various types of skills, whereas playing video games, whereas social media just makes women suicidal, anxious, and narcissistic.
That's true. What do you do, Max? You said video games are, a waste of time. I should just throw myself off the balcony. You're like a photographer yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm a therapist, so that's exactly what I would say.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, that's why I started laughing when you asked what he does. Yeah, he's a therapist, and he inspired me to become a therapist.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah. I am not a therapist yet, but actually I started the stream after I did my homework today, as a little reward for myself for doing my homework today. I did my homework today.
Oh, that's good.
The homework where they teach you how to be a therapist?
No, the homework where you write a bunch of stupid stuff that has nothing to do with anything.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, video games aren't as bad as social media, so they could be a lot better too.
That's true. You could be doing drugs. There are worse things to do than video games.
Indeed. Yeah. So what do you do when you're not playing a video game, Gunnar?
I'm an accountant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
CPA, studying to be a CPA.
I will be a CPA when I mature. For now, I'm just writing it out.
Did you get your bachelor's in accounting?
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of an accountant are you?
A forensic accountant.
I've heard forensic accounting is really fun and interesting work.
It can be, but it can also be very taxing. No pun intended.
I like this guy. May I ask what vicinity you are generally in? You don't have to dox yourself too much.
Yeah, I really don't want to dox myself.
Okay. So yeah, we're both in Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, I'm not Los Angeles, but we're close.
If you're close, you're more than welcome to come hang out at we have meetups every once in a while. So
I'm in Nevada.
Okay, that's not so far. I actually, you know what? We might actually do some event in Vegas because it's cheap to do events in Vegas and convenient.
It's what you do after the event that isn't so cheap.
Well, that's up to you. What you want to do when you're in Vegas is up to you. But what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Sometimes. There's a lot of public records.
Jacob, weren't you planning an event at BYU?
I was. I'm still kind of, sort of, maybe planning an event at BYU. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So my channel is a small part of a larger flotilla of channels, and we have events and stuff every once in a while.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and we're kind of sort of the Los Angeles contingent. They're having an event up in Olympia, Washington in November. I'm not going actually, but they are. So yeah, we try to actually meet people and like get to know them and like do things in real life, because although Max and I are both in Los Angeles and we're sitting here talking on the
Udic.
what
Hey, I saw you Thursday.
you did see me on Thursday. Hello, Chazi. How are you doing, Chazi?
Hello. Hello, Max. Hello, Gunnar.
Hello.
Thank God. Doing well. All things-
Chazi lives in Jerusalem, believe it or not. That's why it's still light out. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's why it's light out. Correct. The day has just begun. I dropped the kids off, and now I'm debating if I should pull off the early bird and get to the office now, or go back into bed and try to pull off another hour of sleep, which sounds very, very good. So I think I might do that.
Sleep is good. Yeah, Yoav had to leave because work was starting. Yeah.
I mean, I am a very big believer. You know, like my partner usually comes in around 9. Getting in at 7:30, that hour and a half of like, you know, no phone calls coming in, the world is still sleeping. That's like magic time. That's like worth like 4 hours once everyone else is up. So I really love getting there early. But I haven't napped in like 3 years since my youngest one was born. So when there is a chance and an opening for sleep, it's definitely something I want to consider. But I also wanted to say hi to you, Jacob. Hearing you call me a not serious Zionist and all those good stuff to start the morning fresh.
Did I call you a not serious Zionist? I thought I was calling you a serious Zionist.
I guess no. I sorry, not a serious Zionist who heeds the call of unserious rabbis.
Oh yeah, I mean if you say Hallel with a bracha, Rahman al yes.
Max, how goes it with work?
I'm starting a new job tomorrow.
Ooh, exciting!
Yeah.
What new job? In psychology, I guess, but
Yeah.
not psychology.
Well, I just finished a job where I was working with schizophrenics in similar, and now I'm taking a job at a prison hospital.
Okay, in a prison hospital, also with dealing with schizophrenics, or just more general?
I expect there'll be folks like that.
More dangerous clients or patients? Sorry.
I mean, I'll learn more once I start, but it seems like folks with mental health issues who've been arrested, and we're seeing if maybe they're competent to stand trial or not, or if they need to be conserved or not.
Oh, you're going to be doing the evaluations?
I expect so, yes.
Isn't this like every movie though, when like the little kid did it, but like everyone thinks there's no way he did it, and then he does that little sinister smile that only you could see because you're the trained professional, and you realize that he actually has no empathy and he's been the serial killer the whole time.
I don't think my folks will be that functional.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
But,
I think it's amazing work, but really, and very difficult work, I'm sure, as you know. And so, as they say in Hebrew, kol hakavod, really. Very, very, very needed, and it's good to know that there's good people doing that kind of work.
Especially now with the new Supreme Court decision saying that they can arrest homeless people.
Right. So, Jacob, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I saw earlier on Twitter you were speaking to that topic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that Los Angeles is actually going to be. I mean, if Los Angeles wants to arrest someone, it's pretty far in the this person needs to be arrested field. I haven't read the actual court case. Do you know where who was the moving party?
No, I don't keep up with that stuff.
What do you think about that, Maxo? Are you like, obviously Skid Row or in LA, that's a very big issue with homeless, and obviously it goes back to like, oh, it's a mental health issue, and like if cops come, we can't arrest them. Like, what do you think should be the path forward on this?
Yeah, I mean that's why I bring it up. It's something I'm still working out. Where at this place I was working with before, many of my clients had been homeless. Now they're living at this unlocked residential place where many of them are still effectively living as if they're homeless. They just have a place to come home to and get meals. But then they're still spending all their time outside panhandling and getting drugs because that's what they like to do. And
I don't know. I forgot which country does this, but they create these spaces where they even offer drugs, like clean drugs though, and clean needles. So basically,
those countries include Canada and the United States.
Does the United States do that? Because I was thinking it's one of the European companies. I was thinking,
Portugal.
But that could be that could end up resulting in disaster. But it was just like an interesting way of maybe sort of thinking outside the box.
Yeah, that's sort of the harm reduction approach. And then I'm entertaining the idea on the other end, which is what the psychiatrist I was working with most recently was an advocate for. He's like, look, I can't do much with these folks if they're going to go out and use street drugs, where there actually need to be more places where people might be locked up such that they can take some time to detox, to see what else we can accomplish, where they're not going to just go out and do what they're going to do.
Right, but can you entice them with, hey, brother, you got to stay here now for the next month, but like, once, a week or twice a week, you still could get a certain fix while it's still being monitored.
Yeah, that doesn't work very well.
Right.
I mean, and this is the thing with harm reduction, right? It's like, so Gabor Mate, the anti-Zionist, who you love, is a big proponent of harm reduction.
It's all trauma.
Yeah, and
acts like it's all trauma.
There's a lot of people who are into harm reduction, especially in the substance abuse program that I'm doing. But you have to use a carrot and stick approach. I think Michael Schellenberger. I haven't read San Francisco. Did you read it, Max?
No, but I've lived it.
No, yeah. I think he takes the most reasonable position, but that position both isn't. I mean, I was just looking at the Supreme Court decision, but we're so far away from implementing the type of things. Hey, Sherry, that they were talking about that. We should be doing. Like, you have to do carrot and stick. There's a point when someone is too debilitated either by their psychosis, which a lot of people it's actual psychosis, or by their addiction to actually make their own decisions as a human being. And you just have to say, this person is incompetent to make decisions.
Yeah, and I think there's also there's a line there, which is, okay, we come and say they can't make decisions anymore, and that's why they need assistance. I think where it becomes difficult is some people start blurring the line between they can't make decisions to like sort of seeing them as less than. And that has to do with then the level of care they get, how these institutions are run, right? Once you're not looking at these people necessarily as, not that you're not seeing them as human, but you're not seeing the humanity in them, and they become sort of a chore. I think a lot of people, like a lot of asylums were shut down because, what was going on inside was actually extremely problematic.
Okay, so part of that, which you have to recognize, is the emotional drain from taking care of so many people in a situation like that, and being empathetic to that large of people is just not something that a human being can handle. And
By
this is,
himself.
yeah, and this is part of, I mean, this is part of my whole hope for the Fountain of Comfort model, which is you need to have people who, like the general community, involved more in a holistic manner, including like you need to have like communities like kibbutz, right? That not everybody there is working in mental health. In fact, most people are not, and you should not concentrate, like having multiple people with issues in the same living together is a recipe for compounding problems.
Obviously,
And-
obviously you have to deal with like, like I'm looking at what David's rating over here. Like when no one's saying just like, get rid of them, like, or shut these things down. But there's also a problem, which is, Jacob's saying it sounds great. There's budgetary issues, right? There's zoning issues. Where am I going to build these places? How do I house all these people? I would say, and I don't know if you're
how
aware of
does
this,
no, but it's really important. How does the mental health practitioners, the people working in those environments, maintain their sanity?
So I'm getting to that, which I was going to mention. I don't know if you or Max know about this, but like this institution, Camp Simcha?
Not familiar.
So Camp Simcha is a camp dealing with children with I think Down syndrome, potentially autism as well, but I could be wrong about that. Now it's a summer camp basically. But there's another camp called Camp Hask, also very similar. And this is very much built into the Orthodox community, where at the end of your school year, or everyone goes to these camps. And what happens in the camp, you act as shadows to these kids. You hang out with these kids. You take these kids on trips, and you could see at the end of the year, they always have, like the end of the summer, they have a show, like a concert, and someone comes, and it's a whole big thing. And you see the kids themselves are having the time of their lives. The counselors themselves realize that this is so much more meaningful for them, for their own life and what they're doing. There's a joke about, if you want to find a good husband, go to Hask, because that's where you're going to find the most quality guys. And that's why when like seminary boys or yeshiva guys go there, it's always a joke that you're going to meet your wife, because you've already like this girl's not watching the Kardashians, right? She's not here spending her summer with this kid, and also then going, I'm not, I guess she can if she really wants to, but the point being, like, that's not her value hierarchy. So I think, and the community knows that they don't have Camp Simcha all year long, but the fact that they know that the parents know that they have like this 2 months off, the kids know that this is happening, there's a buildup for the summer, there's a whole culture around it, which like you're saying, Jacob, the mental stress gets to be spread. And in a sense, that's a lot. And let's say 2 months for a parent could be 6 months worth of fuel, so to speak, that they need for them, like for the next year. So I think like those kind of institutions are definitely things that should be like championed. And I don't know if like in the Christian community, maybe there are things like that, but
there really aren't. And this was actually part of like, so, I was doing my internship at a Catholic convent, and there are no nuns there anymore. So like it used to be run by nuns, and then the Catholic Church threw the nuns under the bus, which I hear from Catholic people is what the Catholic Church generally does with nuns, is throw them under a bus. And so there's no nuns there. And frankly, I think they're going to end up shutting down, because like you can't replace nuns with professional staff. It just, like, do you know how many people you have to hire just to cover the shift of a full-time nun living at a convent? Like you have to hire like 4 people just to do the same job, and then that person can't do the same job because part of the job is just becoming close to the people who need like somebody, and so it's the secular world is not prepared and competent, and that's what they've tried to make social workers into, is like these secular priests, and that just doesn't work. It's a complete failure.
It also doesn't help that they pay them negative money, basically. Like it's in Israel. Like I'm saying, so I have a few friends that are social workers over here. It's so bad, like, because it's a huge, like, again, just on the most basic level. I'm thinking about a specific friend of mine right now. It causes her so much stress, and for sure affects their relationship with her and her husband in the house later. Like when I come home, and like the stress of like, you come home, honey, and you're like this ball of emotions, and we got paid nothing for it. Like, so like, I understand you helped someone. It's a drain on the family. You don't have time for the kids right now. It's tension with us. And this is, again, you could argue that she should have her own version of coping with this, but it's difficult when you're dealing with insanity. And
it's even worse than that, Chazi, because when you do pay these positions, when you bring up the salaries, unfortunately, what you end up getting is the most narcissistic, predatory, horrible people, because they're not doing it just to be kind. Now they're earning an okay salary, and you're in a position where you can be incredibly predatory. This was, I mean, I don't know if you saw this, Max, on my Twitter, but like, here, I'll find it. Somebody, there was a psychologist who, what did she write? Where is this? Sorry, it's taking me a while to find this.
Max, while Jacob was looking at that, have you managed to build yourself some sort of like mind palace of other social workers or psychologists that you could sort of discuss, review?
Yeah, I have some mentors who I talk to.
Amazing.
Okay, so this is Dr. Karen Mitchell, PhD. Many psychologists and psychiatrists are narcissists, psychopaths, predators. They love the control and power it gives them over people, the way they can engage in manipulation, the ability to apply sadistic behaviors, all without being suspected, and with the added delight of being able to use their professional role against the client if ever challenged or exposed. Be cautious who you give your trust to.
I mean, the same could be said about like a contractor or a teacher. I mean, anyone that you're really trusting over here to do something.
Well,
I understand it's more sinister.
No. A teacher is more analogous than a contractor because you're putting vulnerable people in their hands. So
I mean, I'm going to walk on that bridge. I hope it doesn't fall.
What?
I'm going to walk on that bridge. I hope the engineer's not messing around.
No. But like when you are like, here, let me take someone who's emotionally unstable, put them in a room with you alone, and let you emotionally manipulate them however you want.
I would argue that shouldn't there be, and obviously it's difficult to control for this, but if I'm getting into this field, shouldn't there be some sort of a filter where I'm like, oh, we could test at least for the triad, or like I see that you're a sociopath, or let's maybe when you give in your reports, maybe it should go through some screening of like, one of the, what do they call the people that like, see if you're like a sociopath by the way you write an L or something like. Graphite, exactly.
Max, did you hear about the recent consent decree with the Los Angeles Department of Mental Health?
No.
They just had a consent decree because 2 of their former interns sued them because they were screening people out for mental health problems, and they have agreed never to do that again.
So I'm trying to get my wife
Well,
involved in TLC just because she works as a family therapist, a couple therapist, and does like art therapy. And it's also it's specifically also in the Jewish communities. There's a lot of skeletons in a lot of closets, and yeah, I see the stress it gives her, and I know you also have a field that is, I think, saturated also with woke ideologies, and that's very difficult. Like, you can't. I mean, you could be as liberal as you want and as sensitive as you want, but like, you know, the science has to speak for itself ultimately. And I know I give my wife a hard time about this. Like, just, you know, if you hear about sort of like these, I mean, you have Jonathan Haidt, right? And he comes out and says, like, listen, these kids, let's just use the concept of these free range parks that they want to have for kids, okay? Which is basically what's called Israel. Just, you know, no adult. But so I have a friend that's visiting soon from the States. They are very much living the life of like, oh, you know, it looks like our son Phoenix fell, and like we should all get together and talk about it and about his feelings and like get mad at the floor and get rid of reality and protect him from. And it's very difficult. We hung out a year ago with like our kids, and like my kids are doing something like completely different, like very, very different, experiencing it very different, falling very different. The way I interact with them, and I speak to my friend about this. I said, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable next to your wife, but like, you know, if my son does that, I'm going to call him out. And that's not because like I'm being harsh with them. It's just because that's, you know, how I'm talking to him about these kind of things and what my expectation is from these things. And then you have kids growing up in completely different realities. And I think that gets very, very problematic.
Oh yeah, because those children will be emotionally crippled. And this is what Jonathan Haidt is talking about. That's what any psychologist who actually cares.
Emotion and crippled are triggering words for me, Jacob. So
too bad.
Please. Okay, try. It's bad. It's. I mean, listen. My son, both my sons, and they're still young. They don't have any. They don't. I mean, there's screen time now. Summer starts, but in school year, it's screen time only on Friday, and there's no phones. Now, I see, like my son found like this old iPhone in the house. It does nothing. It only has pictures on it. And even that, he's like, I love looking at this. Like, and it's, I don't know, it's very hard. And I think as parents, we weren't given, and we may have spoken about this in the past, Jacob, I don't think we have the proper tools. And I love the tools my father gave me and my parents gave me. I still think they're not as relevant in 2024. Yet I have kids, you know what I mean? Like, I'm already in the thicket. I made 3 people already. And like, I'm coasting on, let's say, my parents' fumes, basically. And I'm hoping that, like, you know, that's still enough of that to me to bridge the gap until they get to a place where there's wisdom, and then I can have some sort of participation on their end as well. But right now it's still a game of, you know, be patient and do this and do that, even though the world around us is changing with regards to its, standards of how kids should be behaving and doing in patience.
You're learning on the job. You're doing a good job.
I hope.
There is definitely an ongoing. There's a lot of signs of hope. There is a backlash towards the woke stupidity that's serious and real. For me, I think it's big that I am a culture warrior. I am fighting against the woke. I am, you know, so that's why I say this is the Jordan Peterson sphere. That is why, like, I am willing to go to war on Jordan Peterson's behalf, because look, we have to fight this. It's not scientific. It's not something that can be allowed to stand. I'm sorry if you weren't thinking of a culture war terms, Gunnar. You may be surprised.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, glad to hear.
Fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
I know, but I would argue, Jacob, that your context is religious, though.
It is, but so this is funny. Last week, because of all of the CRC things, I went on what you call it, Grail Country, and they asked me, like, I'm telling them I can't religiously get involved in the CRC Synod because I can't trespass on their religion. So they're like, "What are you doing there?" And I said, "I'm only there for the political. I am there on a political."
Only?
It has to be only. It has to be, because I look at the same synod, at the 2022 synod. They decided two things were confessional. One of them was the gay chastity thing. The other was penal substitutionary atonement. Now, do you see me like trying to organize the Abide Project to try to overturn penal substitutionary atonement?
No, but I would say that on that level of the cultural war, like the conversation of Synod is interesting to me, and we digress a little. It's interesting to me also because I want to see how religion interacts with the culture war, because being part of a religion, right? So like, I think we discussed this once, that I thought the Pope's blessing, not blessing of, let's say, gay couples, that to me was interesting, because that is someone trying to forge a path, right, while still, maintaining their religious beliefs. And so you could disagree with his resolution, but I, as a religious Jew, of course, I'm interested to see how other religions are sort of dealing with that. So you're right that, like, I'm not going to come in and tell them my opinion on like XYZ. Obviously, that could be happening on a later conversation, because it's their playground. But I think it would behoove serious, let's say, rabbis to pay attention to like what's happening in the world around them, not because that's how they make their decisions, but just to sort of, understand the world around them.
Right. But I mean, I'm having Aaron Vriesman on my channel next Friday, right? And I've been as strong, like I have been like sticking my nose into the CRC's business in ways that, if it wasn't for the culture war and the political involvement, I would have no place being involved. And
I would also say some of it's on Paul for, let's say, introducing, opening up. I'm saying, so like the invitation, it's not like you jumped in with no invitation. It's sort of being presented to you, or at least to this TLC, as something that like they could chew on or discuss.
Chew on and discuss, yes. I would feel, for example, if the culture war stuff was not involved, right, I would feel that there would be more restrictions in, for example, me in going and inviting people.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. And on that note, I'm going to try to sleep a little.
Go sleep.
Catch you guys later. Max, you're doing holy work. And honestly, good luck. Good luck tomorrow. I hope it's everything you wish for. I hope the people that you work with over there are also, normal and enjoyable people as well. Take care, buddy.